We have a guest accompanist coming in, but she's not available until a little later on, so I'm going to start from the keyboard for the beginning of rehearsal. She's a fantastic pianist from Cleveland, and as mentioned, as Christian just mentioned, they're playing around with the sound, and so sound might be changing from the speakers on stage to the speakers on high to other areas. So thank you for your flexibility. This is going to hopefully get us to a point where the sound is pretty clear, and in a very echoey room like this that we can hear and understand with clarity. It's a very difficult space to rehearse in, because oftentimes the sound isn't quite as direct as we want it to be, and as a result it's kind of hard to hear each other and hard to sort of hear the piano up in front. But regardless, we're going to work on the sound for the voice at least, and of course work on our wonderful music. So a few things. So the next kind of weeks are all over the place. Next week, Marika Kuzma is going to be joining us. She happens to be in town, and she's like, do you need a sub for your rehearsal? And I was like, well, I'm here, but feel free to come work with the chorus, because I love working with you. So she's only here next week for a little bit. And then Sam's going to take over the next couple of rehearsals after that. So we're going to be focusing on sort of tackling the more difficult parts of the Mozart first. And I want to get a lot of articulations, and I want to get a lot of our markings in, so you know what to focus on in sectionals, and we know where we are at for rehearsals. But before all of that, we have to have a warm-up, so everybody's standing up. And as it gets colder, I heard in Napa last week it was 115 somehow. It's not 115 down here. But get your bodies warmed up. Let's rock side to side a little bit. Roll your shoulders around, loosen up your body, twist at the waist. Really start to be in touch with your instrument, that is your body, and all the muscles and parts of your body, which is your entire body, that we're going to be using for singing. So feet shoulder width apart. So you really have the ability to rock side by side. Your feet should be like above your hips, right? So not too far, but really trying to get sort of a center. And then as always, the weight of your feet should be over your balls of your feet. So it's not on your heels. If you put your weight on your heels, you have a tendency, you can see your pelvis shifts. And so you want it to be angled in the right way. So you want to be standing with the weight on the balls of your feet. And so it's a little bit more centered. And then so let's put our thumb in our belly button. Take a nice deep breath in and then out. And just be aware of how your body moves when you breathe in and out. Again, let's breathe in and then out. Your posture should be nice and clean. You're like there's a string from your sternum. Let's elevate it so when you breathe in, that you're not sort of changing your rib cage or your bones or your shoulders. But when you take a breath in, it's really expansion at the waist. The diaphragm pulls down. Nice breath in. Let's do this again. We're going to take a nice breath in, but then we're going to exhale and a controlled breath out on shh. Here we go. And take a breath in. And then on shh. Even think about that. This is a rather foreign sensation than the rest of the day. So here we go. And and you want to feel that engagement getting on the voice. And on the voice, you can take a rest for a second. On the voice, it's very easy to talk without being on the voice, without actually having the support. However, if you're on the voice, you can hear my voice already, that there is sort of a support. There is the way we talk when we try to orate, or on the stage, or obviously in this room, we try to sing. So the difference between, you can hear it, the difference, well, there's a microphone, but the difference between unsupported voice, and then when I take my voice and I support it with the diaphragm, and trying to speak, and trying to sustain a sort of intensity in the voice. It's not intention, not tense, but it does have more engagement in the voice. And that's because I'm supporting the sound with the support from the airflow from your viscera. So let's take another breath in, and we're going to go out on but this time I really want you to feel like there's sort of an intention in the exhalation that you have. It's controlled, it's supported, and it's not like you're squeezing, but it's just sort of like buoyant and sort of slightly pressurized. And so it's engaged, this airflow is consistent, intentional, and consistent. Now I heard a decrescendo. Remember, it's not necessarily a decrescendo, it's not but as consistent as you can be. Right? Here we go. And that's great. That's great. What we want to do is get that supported sound and work the muscles for support. Okay? Let's do humming. I want you to chew while you. And the reason why we chew is because oftentimes when we hum, we lock our jaw. We go. And it makes this muscle back here a little bit tense. So when you chew, it basically forces you to engage and make sure that your whole mandible, your jaw is nice and engaged. So it's not a tight sound, okay? Let's do humming. Ready, and. Let's do nivu, 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 niri, and. Good. Now, even though we have masks, make sure we don't spread. So, nivu, 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 ni. So, focus nasal, and don't use your lips too much. Not nivu, 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 nivu. Just use your tongue. Nivu, 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 ni, and. Nivu, 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 ni. Breath. Nivu, 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 ni. Nivu, 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 Try to get lightness and sort of a staccato leggero, very light figure. On ya, and now. Ya, So take your fingers and touch your cheekbones. And note, obviously, if you touch your cheeks, that's a lot of soft tissue. But your cheekbones are pretty hard. And so what you want to do is you're going to lift up as you have a little bit of an inside smile. Not lip smile, but inside. Yeah. And I want you to feel like you're lifting up there towards your cheekbones, okay? Ready? And up. Yeah. Nice. So try to get a very clean note for each one, right? Ready, and down. Very different than. So ya versus ya ya. You hear I'm actually going ya ya. So you have a space in between each one. It might not sound like it, but in terms of your technique, you're going ya ha 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 ha. Instead of ya ya ha 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 ha. Ready and ya. Excellent. As we get higher, the same sort of feeling that we mentioned before, I don't want to really ya ha 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 ha. When you get higher, you have to think about your cheekbones, and you basically feel like you're smiling on the inside, and you're trying to raise not only the soft palate, but all your apparatus here. So ya ha 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 ha. Instead of ya ha 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 ha, you have to sort of raise the curtains inside. Okay. Let's just do it one last time. Ready, and ya. Not bad. That last one, just like that, ready? And like a sigh, but you start on the first bit. Ready? Yeah. Now I want you to do the exercise, but have that same feeling. Yeah. And feel like you're doing a sigh while you're doing the exercise. Ready? And down. Yeah. Yeah, that's a little high. We'll go back to this one. Okay, ready? And up. Not bad at all. So that's the same feeling that we talked about in the fugues. When you have the sustained subject of the fugue, which is fuller and more sostenuto, but then you have that sort of dancing music all around it, the counter subjects, where it has a little bit of lightness to it, it's staccato, and it has a different technique that you sing. One is sort of separated, and one is sustained, okay? So let's do a sigh on ooh. Take out your Mozart. And what I want to do is start from bar 167. This is page 65 in my score. This is page 65 in my score, in the Cum Sancto Spiritu, bar 167. Okay? 167. Page 65, bar 167. Everybody say cool. Cool. It's not cool, it's cool. Sancto. Yeah. Make sure it's not, you did such a great, you did cum sancto. Cum sancto. No diphthong. O, ready? And cum sancto. Almost. There are some people that when they relax, I hear the toe. It's just toe. Okay? Spiritu. Oh, I said spiritu, and you said spiritu. Spiritu. Yeah, you really have to. Everybody say spiritu. Now, when you say it like that, I don't hear the glide. When you say it with the R in your mind, all I hear is spiritu. You have to not move your lips or your tongue. Spiritu. Now listen for a second. I'm flipping the R. I'm not saying spiritu. I'm saying spiritu. Okay? Try that. And spiritu. Now I still hear spiritu. Now remember that European languages don't have this glide, this R. Americans have the R. You have to cut the R out because it makes intonation really hard. And then we're speaking Italianized Latin, they don't have Americanized R's. So say spiritu with a D. Spiritu. That's very close to how we're going to do the R. So this time do the same exact thing, but instead of flipping of a D, do spiritu. You do a flipped R instead of a D, but exactly the same vowels. Ready? And up. The absolute closest. That was great. Now I got a little bit of spiritu. Spiritu. That vowel doesn't change. Oftentimes in America we have, in American English, we have these diphthongs. You have to get rid of it because those vowels need to be pure. Italian have pure vowels. So spiritu. Oh, so much better for the twos. It got worse with the R. The R is really hard to get rid of. R. You hear that? Yeah. Spiritu. You have to really work on them. Okay? Now, let's start from bar 167. Everybody. So remember, it sounds like it's going to be easy when we start, but if we get too fast, then the eighth notes become difficult. Here we go. 1, 2, and sopranos. 1, and. So do you hear bar 186? So those notes, there are 8 notes oftentimes for every single one of your notes. So you have to see if you can match the orchestra and the piano a little bit better, okay? Now, can I start from bar 185? Ready? About this fast. Ready? 1 and 2 and. Yeah. So make sure everything's in time. So everything's in time. Ready? 1 and 2 and. So this is where it gets really dangerous. Whole notes are really quite long. If we shortchange the whole notes, then the 8th notes get really, really fast, okay? Sopranos. Let's do from the top of the page, 182. Okay, that fast. Ready? Ready? 1 and 2. Now the hardest part to me, the hard notes before that. Those change of syllables are really quite fast and sudden, okay? Let's try one more time. 1 and 2. Yeah, great. So do you see how long those will sound after you do those 8th notes? That was excellent. Altos, let me just hear you. Okay, this is 182. Ready? Ha 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 ha. Ready? 1 and 2. So the same exact thing as the sopranos. You have to suddenly go ha 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 ha. Rihade. You have to go really change fast. Now remember that we're using Baroque articulations. So when you have ha 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 ha, you can take a breath before that. You can take a little you can gather yourself again. Okay, one more time. Ha 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 ha. Rihadehi Patris. Ready? 1 and 2. Yeah, so this is the type of thing that we have to practice slowly. I would practice that. Okay, you can just go Rihadehi Patris. Ready? 1 and 2. Yeah. Re, a, de, patris, Dei, patris. Be very specific about the shape of the vowel, right? Re, a, Dei, patris. Ready? 1 and 2. Yeah. Dei, pa, Dei, pa, Dei, pa. So it's de is very different vowel than e, and is very different than a, patris, okay? One more time. Re, ha, Dei, patris. Ready? 1 and 2. And then all of a sudden, we know what the vowel is you're singing. If 2/3 of you are singing the right vowel, but 1/3 of you are sort of not quite accurately singing the vowel, then all of a sudden it just sounds like a wash of sound instead of clarity in the vowel. Okay? That's much better. Now go la ho 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 re ha de re pa please. Okay, for the beginning, 1 and 2. And yeah, not bad, not bad. A lot of you got it. Some of you are still thrown off, but obviously we're just taking it apart. But I would really practice a change of vowels in addition to the notes. Tenors. That's not a very nice line at all. Now, Sam and I were talking about this before. This is really great that it's in C major because you can tell when there's a note that's very important to be aware of when you have an accidental in front of it. And so when you have D sharps, when you have F sharps, those are very clear. But also when you have F naturals and D naturals, you just have that within 2 bars. You have F sharp, D sharp, and then also next bar, F natural, D natural. So listen again. That's not very nice at all. Let's try it again. Ready? Lo ho 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 ho. Ready? 1 and 2 and. Yeah, I really like a change of vowels. That's really great. Now, the same thing that we were mentioning all the times before. When you have a tied note going into bar 183, you can take a break there. Lo, lo, ho, 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 da, 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 ba, ba, ta, 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 instead of ta, 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 da, 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 da. So don't continue through that. Make a little lift so you can have clarity in your 16 notes. Can we just do, let's do tenors for one last time. Ready? 1 and 2, and. Excellent. Let's do basses. Low. And then really bass line. Right? Ready? 1 and 2 and 1. Yeah. Ria de. Now I want a little bit more separation. It needs to be a little bit more jolly, Santa Clausy. Okay? Ready? 1 and 2 and 1. Yeah, and then when you get to the chord notes, you can make them Dei patris. It doesn't need to be light there. Not Dei pa, but Dei pa. We are cadence here, right? Let's do everybody 182. Okay, let's try it, right? 182, 1 and 2 and. to the piano and just encourage. Remember the language. Men, 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 off. So they're very clear. Off, 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 off. So they're very distinctly different lines. I hear very sort of wishy-washy endings of notes, okay? Can we do pick up to 193? Sorry, look at it. Ta, ta, ta. Off, right? So, pick up to 93. 1 and 2 and ready, go. Better. I still feel like I hear this. Men, men, off, men, right? Ta, off. Is either on or off. You need to be a little bit more basic. Men, men, not men, or men. It needs to be really clearly just light is on, light is off, light is on, light is off. Okay? Last time, right? Let's do pick up to 193. Right? 1 and 2 and ready, go. That is so much better. Because if you decay, you lose strength. Man, right? And so just think of a block. If you don't sustain the dynamic, it just looks like it doesn't have enough volume. Literal volume, height, distance, okay? Let's start from 167. 167. Ready, and up. Backwards, we're going to go to bar 138. 138. Where Mozart decides to invert the theme. Tenors. Sopranos. Sounds vaguely like Pachelbel's canon. Okay. Bar 138. Tenor starting us off. The rest of the voice parts are singing, but you don't have to sing. It's really the tenor entrance right there. Bar 138. Ready? 1, 2, and down. Tenors. not bad. For my sake, why don't we go back to 156? Okay, let's do 156. This beautiful crescendo. We talked about the harmony for this is fantastic, right? Okay. 1 and 2, 156, 7. There's things all over the place. I want to start at bar 106, which is one of my favorite parts. Mozart basically says, let's see, this is a competition between the various voice parts on how clean they can be. Starting with the tenors. Fantastic, right? Now, what I want you to do is in your respective voice part, circle all the accidentals. All the accidentals. So tenors, you have this B flat for a while. But then on bar 110, the most important note is when the B flat turns into a B natural. So if I were to play from the beginning, I have that B natural is a major, major change. Hey, that's great.
First couple of rows of altos, does it sound better or worse than last week? Especially in the front. Better. Altos? Anybody find it worse? Altos, especially the first.
Sopranos.
Sopranos. First couple of rows, better or worse than how about in the back? How about in the
Hello. Alright. That's really interesting. I mean, is it coming from these speakers? Okay, because I can't hear a difference because it's in front of me. So, anyway, so what I was saying is that not only obviously the stepwise motion, but if you have jumps or leaps in your line, that's really important to know. But the key is those changes of accidentals. So tenor is that bar in 110 with the B natural is the most important note. Altos, if you notice that you have all these F sharps where the tenor doesn't have any F sharps. So in bar 113, altos, that F sharp is hyper important. However, just as important as that F sharp is in bar 118 when you have the G sharp. And so that's the note that you particularly should circle. Sopranos, you note that you have a G sharp and then you go to a G natural, then you go to a G sharp. So those notes are hyper important. The G sharp and the G natural changes over and over again. Basses, you have B naturals. That B flat of bar 129. Bar 129. And B natural. And so bar 130, going back to the B natural. But then 132, that B flat. So all of those notes you should circle so we very distinctly have the changes between those. Basses, all of a sudden in bar 135, 136, you have F sharps, you have G sharps, you go back to G natural, and it goes into the dominant G major after that. So those are the major things. What I'd love to do is read it very slowly, starting from bar 106 directly, but that fast. You can sing it on whatever syllable you want. We're looking for the notes. But what I want you to be doing as you're reading is be aware of those two major things. The difference between stepwise and jumps, and then of course, those accidentals, okay? And Mia's just gonna play along, or she's gonna play obviously along with everything, but we're gonna do very slowly. Again, feel free to sing along, obviously on your parts where you don't have the running notes, we do want that too. You can sing that on text, you can sing it on da 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 da, you can ha 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 ha. But the key thing is to focus on the notes, where there's skips, where there's accidental changes. Bar 106, and then play the other notes together, right? Ha 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 ha, 1 and 2, and ha ha ha. We play all of them. Ha 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 ha. Get ready, altos, go. Basses. Basses. I love for 131, where Mozart's like, we're just going to do scales. We're going to do scales which are like vitamins for musicians. So starting from bar 131, just listen. Let's listen. Ha 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 ha. Major scale. Ha 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 ha. F major scale. C major scale. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. So let's do basses. on this very satisfying line, only bar 131, okay? Ha 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 ha, fa mi re do, si, right? Ha da da, ready? 1 and 2 and ha 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 ha. Scale. Now here. Ha 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 ha. And G sharp. G natural. Yeah, isn't that very silent? Ha 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 ha. Right? It's very satisfying. That's a sequence. It means the same thing, shifted down a step, and in the harmony, it just propels you to your very last men very beautifully. 134, listen to this, everybody. Ha 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 ha. Same shape. Ha 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 ha. Same shape. Ha 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 ha. Same shape. Ha 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 ha. Men. Straight sequence. Every single bar is exactly the same, except just one step down every single time. Basics. 134. Right? 1 and 2 and. It's so natural. It's so beautiful. Now remember that we still want it to be light and ha 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 ha. So which is a little bit sort of imprecise. Ha 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 ha. When we get faster, we want to maintain those separate notes, there's clarity and transparency in the music. Now, while we have that there, sopranos and altos, if you can play with us, bar 134, play their parts. You have this, these parts that change off of each other. You might mind playing it once without them, ready? And T, 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 P, T, Pa, P, T. Yeah, very natural. Let's do sopranos and altos on your text. Speedy to in glory, right? 1 and 2. Speed in glory. Speed to altos. And it's very nice, very natural. Basses, again, with one of the most satisfying lines that I know. Everybody starting from 134, right? 1 and 2 and. Yeah, but it should be basses as a solo for all the section. And then the sopranos and altos are on top, decorated. So you should really be singing for it. You should really just take control, okay? Now, what I want to do is start at the beginning of the bass line. So this is the alto entrance of bar 127 and basses with your lines, and then we'll get into your scales, and then we'll get to that beautiful sequence that leads us into the cadence. So I want everybody to be singing. This is everybody, sorry tenors, except for the tenors. Okay? Cool, right? 1 and 2 and cool. Soprano. I feel you're a little bit too nice with this. I think you should take control and be like, no. All of you had your chance. This is the bass's turn to shine. Let me hear the basses at 127. And I know it's low, but But have a presence here, and again, remember that the tenor started, right? And then the altos came in, the sopranos came in, and this is a time where you should be saying, this is our turn, this is our solo, whatever. Sopranos have a high A, and it doesn't make a difference because you really have the melody of the turn, right? Basses alone, singing forte as much as you can, low voice, like 127. 1 and 2 and. Let's go. Let's go. Big scale. And here we go, cadence. Sequence. Yeah. So when you have these very formal things of fugues, they're always made up of parts. And so when you think of the parts, you have to think of is basically decorating a C the entire time. So I'm singing up the octave because I can't sing down that low that much. But it should be not all the notes are very equal. And then you jump, right? So let's just hear this first two bars, 127. Da 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 da. 1 and 2 and. Yeah. Now exactly what you did. Do you hear how you went to that second bar? That B is really important. Right? Okay? Right, bass is 1 and 2. Good. Now, what I got was this. What I mean is, I want you to phrase to it. So you actually crescendo a tiny bit into it. So it's a more organic thing instead of just isolating one note and kind of punching it out. Okay? Right? Now remember, it's not give it a little bit of separate impulse for every single note. Ready? 127, 1 and active. No, good. Oh, good, yeah. The shape was great. Now, what I heard was this. Ha. Make sure even the first two notes are separate. 1 and 2 and. Scale down to low, F, C major, cadence, sequence, right? It's so nice. It should be so much fun to sing. Can we have everybody starting at 127, bar 127, right? Altos. You have the subject of the fugue. Let the basses also shine. Ready? 1 and 2 and. Sopranos. Scale. F major scale. C major scale. Potential sequence. So that underpinning rhythm, that half note drive, is a thing that keeps us all together. The problem is, oftentimes, that the whole notes feel very, very long, and if they're off by the slightest bit, it throws off the eighth notes. Those eighth notes have to have a rhythmic underpinning that's so solid, and it should be a lot of fun to sing. I want to go finish off those other voice parts too. So we're looking at bar 106. 106. I want to hear the tenors. Now, let me just finish for a second. So when you have this Baroque phrasing for a second, I just want to play it for a second. So you just want to make sure that when you have a skip, sometimes we have a little bit of lift. You hear it? Ta da 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 da. So when you have when you have that C to the E at bar 108, there's a tiny lift sometimes. Let's do that with me. Starting from bar 106. Okay, bar 106. Right? Ready? 1 and 2 and. Overdo it a little bit. So out here it sounds very legato right now, but I can tell that a lot of you are trying to do staccato. I think if everybody does the staccato a little shorter and really get a little bit more space in it, that'd be great. Okay. Now remember, like the basics, like we said, this is your turn to shine. So this is forte. We won't necessarily need to pound it out now, but we do want to make sure that it's not necessarily tentative, but it is very confident and full. Can we have everybody starting for our 106? Okay? Okay? Ready? 1 and 2. So the altos and basses aren't singing particularly loud, and yet it's harder to hear the tenors. Let me just hear the tenors alone, right? Right? 1 and tenors. Good. Yeah. I hear it. See if you can maintain that support in your body, in your diaphragm. Right? 1 and 10. Yeah, not bad. Now remember, you can't, well, some of you might be able to, but if you can't sing the entire thing through, like I can, you basically just stop singing a couple notes, take a breath, and come back in, right? This is what we call there's no choral breath. There's no breath that we take as an ensemble together. If you need to take a breath, then just leave out a couple notes and then come right back in, okay? Everybody, 106, 106, right? 1 and 2 and ready and done. Accent tenors. the melismatic passages like this, you have to get it into your muscle memory, which is very different than intellectualizing it. Your muscle memory is in a completely different area of your brain, and you need to take it slow. Like if you, what's the C? So you want to get it that slow, so that when we do it in rehearsal, when you take it up faster, your muscle memory will actually just line up and do it quicker. It'll be great, okay? That's really, really fantastic. Okay, so we're working backwards with these. What I want to do is very slowly read through the entire thing just to see where you're at. And I want this to be about you, starting from the beginning of the Cum Sancto Spiritu, bar 7. I want you to see where you feel comfortable with the notes, where you don't. Now, what we do as instrumentalists or conductors or musicians, we take an X and we put it in the system where, oh, that's a system that I need to look out for. Yeah. I just put an X at the top of it or on the side to say, hey, this is an area that I should do. Or if you want to, you can circle some of the notes that you have difficulties with. What you want to do is try to see, when we go through this fugue, that we break it down a little bit, to see where are the parts that you need to work on and where are the parts that feel more comfortable, okay? We're going to still read it as a relatively slow tempo. This is honestly not that far off from concert tempo, so don't worry that much. But we're going to start from the very beginning. And if you can play a little bit louder, that'd be great, so we can have a very clear idea of what we're doing, right? Basics. 1 and 2 and basics. that's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. What I hear at the end is, Amen, 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 So, off, man, off, man, off, man, off. Okay? It's the same thing. You have to be a little bit more precise about the ending of the note so that it really stays together, okay? We've done a pick up to 93, 193 multiple times. I really want to get this. So we do pick up to 193. Amen, amen, off, man, off, man, off. Right, okay? So pick up to 193. Right? 1 and 2 and ready, go. You have to think like an organ. Organs have very little control over dynamic. They have a pedal they can control dynamic. But if they play, it's one dynamic, and they just go okay? It needs to be a little bit better. Now, the first time you go through this, you turn the page and you're like, oh my gosh, there's more. Oh my gosh, there's more. Oh my gosh, it keeps on going. How many pages is it? And when you sing through like this, especially when we have the sections of this, and you have more familiarity of what's coming up next, it just becomes more and more fun to sing. Now, there are certain sections of it that I can hear so clearly in your voice. Ha, 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 ha. All those things are so light, precise, and have this sort of great character. So I would urge you to continue to do the good work. This is why we started this in September. By the time we get to December and January, we want this to be super comfortable. The one thing I want to rehearse, which is the gimmick that he puts in multiple times in this entire thing, is a complete drop in dynamic to piano and this crescendo that happens. He does it multiple times. Sometimes it's a long crescendo, sometimes it's a short crescendo. But I want to be sure that we're very clear on what we're going to do. So I'm going to take an arbitrary one. I'm on page, I'm in bar 73. 73. Now, if you remember what happened the last time we performed this, if you drop down too soft, we lose presence. The orchestra is going to drop down the piano pianissimo. For you, you're only going to drop down to mezzo forte. So everywhere we have a piano that's bar 73 or so, you go to mezzo forte instead of forte. However, you still need to crescendo. And so you're going to feel like you're crescendo into a forte or fortissimo. For this one, it's only 3 bars, so it's not that bad. So, but however, if I were to pick another random place, so bar 53, that's also 3 bars, that's fine. Bar 53, if you see, it needs to feel like a subito, drop in dynamic. 52 is forte. However, bar 53, he writes piano. For practical sake, with the voicing with the orchestra, I want you to write mezzo forte. However, like I mentioned, it needs to feel like a sudden drop of dynamic. So you distinctly need to drop down in dynamic, just not as much as the orchestra does. Okay? So what I'd love to do is, where's the long one? The one that starts with the F minor chord. Oh, sorry. This is bar 156. 156. You see this one? This one is 8 bars. This is the last one. And so this is the biggest one. Okay? The same thing for this. Maybe we drop down to mezzo piano for this one, except for the tenors. The tenors need to be mezzo forte or even forte. We need to hear that line with the sopranos. The sopranos are dancing around the high part of their voice range, and the tenors are not as high, and your all 4 voice parts are singing, so you need to sing quite a bit more there. This is 156. What I want to do is practice this. So if you don't mind basses, starting this off on 146. Bar 146, everybody's singing bar 146. Our goal is to perceive the drop in dynamic when you get to the subito change at bar 156, okay? So 146, basics. Kum song, pocket bells canon, right? Two, basic. Kum song. Okay, alto. Piano for you, really. But everybody else did a great job in terms of the dynamic range. It's easier for them. Sopranos, just because you're so high, it actually sounds a little bit more loud than you were actually singing. So for, again, practical sake, you're really thinking about singing piano. The tenors really are singing mezzo forte forte, okay? Let's do that one more time. 146. 146. Cool song. Now remember, basics is not cool song, but cool song. So really sustaining through the lines. Ready? 1, 2, and 146. Cool song. Alto. Excellent basic. Excellent. And tenors gonna dance while this and hey. Basic. Sopranos, I think we can come down a little bit more on the subito piano. It still comes across slightly as the same dynamic, so it comes down a tiny bit. Tenors, I could hear you clearly. That was fantastic. So that dynamic, we want to sing that or even more, okay? But these subito pianos, remember that even though this is a mass, this is, like we talked about in the very first rehearsal, this is not separated from the context of which Mozart was writing, which is that he wanted to impress the audience, he wanted to show off his new wife, soon-to-be wife, right? And he wanted to make a spectacle of this. He made this huge fugue with a fugue out of fashion. He added these gimmicks like these subito dynamic changes in the crescendos, which he learned directly from the Mannheim School directly. And all this sort of intricacy was just to show off how complex and how much you can manipulate the subject, right? And so it becomes really fun as we go through, because we see, oh, this is the one that's upside down. Oh, this is the one where every single voice part's coming in one bar after the next. It becomes a lot of fun. So when you have those subito piano, we should try to do that to shock the audience, to get them and to draw them into that section, okay? Can we try another one of those, just because I want to, we have like 7 minutes, I want to do this. What's the other one? Let's try 53. So what I want to do is start from 53 first, and tenors, you're going to do the same thing. Sopranos, you really are going to do a mezzo piano now because you're not on a high F. Your A is in the middle or even low range of the soprano, so you should be really thinking mezzo piano. Tenors, I do want you to think mezzo forte or forte, okay? Let's just hear right on 53. Right? Ready, 53? Now remember, this is a short runway. We have 3 bars, so you get from the subito dynamic drop to forte. So your crescendo is going to be much more intense, right? 53. 1 and 2 and. Crescendo. And down. Good. Now, can we do that one more time? Just one more time, just so we get an idea for where we are. 53, right? Right? Actually, you can play the one. Right, ready? 1 and 2, and tenor, tenor, and wait. Tenors, I think you should sing even more than that. Let's do a straight flat out forte, okay? Now remember, everybody else is going to be crescendoing because it's easy for them to crescendo, but the tenor line needs to really sound like it's a pairing with the soprano. And right now, the sopranos are you shouldn't change anything, but the soprano voice is louder than the tenors, and we want the tenors to come on. Okay? Bar 53, 1 and 2, and. That's it. That's it. And tenors. Awesome. Good. Yeah. What letter does that word start with? Is it cool? So we want to make sure that we very clearly hear, I'm singing the subject. I am starting the line. Now, can we go back? Basses, I'm sorry, but the easiest place to start is bar 36. Bar 36. Actually, can we do bar 35? Okay. Okay. Let's do bar 35. Just pick up where you can. Basses are going to sing the subject. Tenors, where you can, and then obviously sopranos on bar 36. Right? Here we go. Bar 35, 1 and 2, and. First. Awesome. Tenors. And basses alto. And sopranos alto. Tenors. Excellent tenors. Get ready? And 1 and 2, and. That was absolutely fantastic. However, I changed my mind a little bit. I want you to sing forte really on the second half of bar 53. So the first note of 53, of bar 53, is the only note that you will sing slightly softer. Because I heard you so loud and clear, it was like, yep, they are singing forte, exactly like that. So make sure that we feel the dynamic drop, but then as soon as you get to the second half of bar 53, then you can come out, I can hear it very clearly, okay? That was great. Now, one way to get the dynamic change, the only way to get the dynamic change is the difference in dynamic. Sometimes that can be by dropping the dynamic of where you're going to. Sometimes it could be by increasing the dynamic where you came from. So I really want you on bar 52 to feel like that is like forte or fortissimo. So that when we come down to bar 53, that the differential is still quite present. So louder on the loud part, slightly softer on the next part, and we will get our differential. One more time from bar 35. Bar 35. Into the subdominant. Okay. Ready? 1 and tenor, go. And basses, sopranos, alto. Tenors. Sopranos. And cadence. And alto. 73, suddenly much louder forte, right? Everybody needs to circle bar 73 because it's a little bit surprising because then you're like, oh, that's right, I was supposed to be quieter. So especially tenors and basses need to be suddenly quieter right there. And it's a little bit weird because the basses are in a line, right? You're in the middle of your line. Ta-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And it needs to be very, very sudden. Sopranos, the same thing for you. You're in the middle of line. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay? So that's going to be very, very severe and difficult. Can we go back to bar 6-0 or 6-0, 6D, 6D? Right? There you go. Right on bar 60 the downbeat, right? 1 and 2. 2. And where are we going? And. A minor and. All that. Fair enough. Bases. Bases and. Here we go. 1 and 2. Hey. That's it. All done. Crescendo and bases. Good. Okay. Now, basses. We didn't. I can tell this is one of the places where it feels a little less secure. Right. But basses on bar 76. Bar 76. You have a D sharp, and then you end on the E. The next note that you have is part of the next phrase, right? So, Neo, do you mind playing from bar 76, only the bass line? 1, ta, 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 ta. Now you hear that? Pa, ba, dum, ba, da, 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 da. So, D sharp, E, E, A, okay? So let's just do basses alone from bar 76 with Neo. Your entire line, 76, 77, 78, right? 1 and 2. Amen. Amen. Yeah. Now, the same thing, bar 77, the last note is really the pickup to the next bar. Amen. So there's a tiny bit of a lift after the third beat of 77. Okay, one more time. Can you give them yeah, bar 76, basses only. 1 and 2. Amen. Amen. That's excellent. Now, tenors. The same thing goes for you like we did in the other time with the altos. Except that your ending note is on bar 77 downbeat. And then you have a pickup to the third beat. So you have men, men, right? So if Neo was to play from bar 76, right, it's actually after the downbeat of bar 77 that you change and join the basses on their little motive there. You know, you might play from bar 76, just the downbeat of the tenor line, right? And yeah. And ta ti da da di da 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 right? You see that? So the pickup to the C sharp on bar 77 is the new phrase. That's what you should be thinking of as a restart. Tenors, why don't you join me on bar 76, right? On the F sharp, amen, right? 1 and 2. Amen. And yeah, and then sopranos and altos, the same thing happens for you. Bar 78, sopranos have a pickup to the third beat, basically, and the altos have a pickup to the next bar. But it's exactly like the basses did, it's exactly like the tenors did. It's all just overlapped and at different times, okay? What I'd love to do is, if we can start at bar 73, bar 7-3, everybody, and going on, and see if we can get clarity for this, okay? Right? Okay? That's a whole chord. Ready? 1 and 2. Altos, crescendo, and E, and basses, tenor. So Altos. Good, good, good. Yeah. It feels so much more secure when you have an idea of what the shape is of what you're singing. And so where the phrase ends, where the phrase starts, how they interlock and over each other. So bar 91, bases, that pickup to the that place is the most important line there. The sopranos have this offbeat, the kind of obligato that just is descending line. Tenors, you join in the second half of bar 91 with the basses, and then obviously all the eighth notes too. So what I did was on bar 91 tenor line, your second beat men, I made that eighth note with an eighth rest. And then you can restart with a nice deep breath for the third beat, okay? Can we do that again? You did bar 77, 78 so well. Basses, I think to highlight your line on bar 77 with the pickup, I think you should make the pickup have an accent on it. And so on bar 76, the the last E, put an accent right there, and then you can put a little breath before that so you get that, okay? Altos, your bar 73 and 74 are fantastic. You can hear those lines really well. Sometimes it's a tiny delay. Ta 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 ta. So jump on it a little bit more. Don't wait until you have the sound get to you. Try to see if you can meet it in the middle. Everybody bar 73, right? Bar 73. 1 and 2, ready, and. really, really great. Now, again, what we want to do is, even though we've broken down the sections, even though we've sort of intellectualized where the various parts are and how they interact with each other, the next part of this really is getting it into your voice, into your muscle memory, into the other part, automatic side of your brain, where you don't actually think of it every single note, but it's sort of there, present with you. It's how pianists practice, it's how instrumentalists practice. Slow, slow, slow practice to get into muscle memory. And then when it gets faster, it becomes easier. So we went through it, and so much sounds so secure. The things that I would say are really work on how do we get the clarity of the eighth notes, how do we get the dynamic drop, and then be aware very clearly of those accidentals. Circle them, figure out where they are or whatnot. I would take this as a request. Sam already knows that she's going to, this is working on the fugues or the things in sectionals. Take it apart yourself, do a really slow practice, whatever you want to do. But the next step really is to just run it a bunch of times in rehearsal, and with the preparation during the week, it'll get better and stronger as we go on, okay? So, do we have any announcements? Otherwise, we're going to take a break and do the other fugue. Announcements. Do we have announcements? Yes.
It works. Thanks, sound crew. I'm just doing announcements. The people doing the sound experiments tonight are Jared, David, and Lisa. Thank you. A general reminder to try to read chorus notes on Monday before you come to rehearsal. There's a lot in chorus notes. If you don't want to read all of it, at least scan the first phrase of each paragraph. See if it applies to you. Maybe read the whole thing. Catherine Atchison, who I know very well, spends quite a bit of time putting it together. So give it to her. Don't forget to sign in when you arrive at rehearsal in the back of the break room. There was a left water bottle last week with a BCCO logo, an aluminum water bottle that's on the back table, if that was yours. There is a sectional this Sunday evening at 7. It's for sopranos and tenors. Sam is going to lead it, and it will be at the Piedmont Center for the Arts. That's the chorus notes. Next Monday, this one is unusual. Next Monday, we will not be in this room. This building is closed for the holiday. We're going to have Marika Kuzma joining us as our guest conductor. Should be very exciting. We will be at the Arlington Community Church. The address is in chorus notes. I believe it's 52 Arlington Avenue, up on the hill. There's excellent parking across the street. There's parking in front of it on the street. And it's a nice, big, airy room. So remember, next Monday, we'll have an announcement again at chorus notes next Monday, and a reminder. But don't come here next Monday. You'll be alone. There are used scores, as it said in course notes. Rebecca Tracy and Ken Smith's widow, Jean Smith, donated scores that they no longer need. Maybe you have interest in them. Please give a look. A reminder that while the board has decided that we need to rehearse in masks for the time being, that may change soon, it may not, but the church also requires it of us. And until we both change our view, please continue to do so. I think then Kay had an announcement, and then we'll go to break. Where's Kay? Oh, here.
Hi, I just want to make a quick pitch. I retired almost a quarter of a century ago. So, I haven't really been using computers that much in the last 22 years, 22 and a half years. So, but I want to tell you that it's so easy. You can go into your Safari, whatever it is, you get into internet, type in YouTube, Mozart Mass in C minor, tenor part, soprano part, etc., and it pops out. And it's so easy to use as a practice tape. I just really want to encourage everybody, if you miss your CDs or whatever we used to use in the past, it's so easy. And then when you go into it, you see your tenor part or whatever it is, it shows you where to start and stop it on the bottom. There's a little line there, and there's a little wheel. And if you click on that, you can adjust the speed. So if you're doing these, not miasmas, melismas, you can cut it down to half speed and go over it that way. So I just encourage you all to please, and if you want tech support, call me. That's it, thanks.
I thought we should read through it once or twice, just to remind ourselves of what it's like. So we're going to go through this relatively slow. Top, 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 top. Here you go. Okay? Here we go. This is page 11 in my score. What page is it in your score? There's 9 in the other score. Okay? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and. And, done. Now, done. And. And spread tenors, alto, and 3, 10 basses, and tenors, and sopranos, altos, basses. And alto tenors, basses, soprano, go. And 1, and 2, 3. And basses here. That's it. And tenor, basses, and ready, tenors, go. And tenor, alto, basses. There, go. One, and done. Alto basses. Basses. Nice. Good reading. Good reading. I know it's been a while. So, a couple things. So, tenors and altos on bar 1. Tenors and altos on bar 1. On the third beat where you have a change of pitch, can you put in accents there? So we very clearly hear your notes. Now, when you get to the second bar, sure it's not too soupy. I get a little. It should be a little bit more trumpet. So it has either think about accents. I put little two lines over it, so it's a little bit more separate. And then remember that this entire thing is almost like it's a fanfare. There are parts of it that are literally a fanfare. So if you look at, let's see, what's a good place? So bar 12. You might play with bar 12. So you hear this? This is a singing chord over and over again. But all the voices have these little things that literally are like trumpets or brass players. So if you start from bar 12, just on the time, it's like when you have trumpets all over the sky, and it's just like bells ringing and a carillon singing. So tenors, this happens multiple times, but on bar 11, the last bar, I want you to put an accent on your note right there. Sopranos, bar 12 on your high G. You don't necessarily need an accent, but obviously that's going to be an important note right there. However, the altos and basses have the hardest notes to come out. And so in the last beat of bar 12, put an accent on that altos. So that's the beginning of your line there. Your line is exactly the opposite of the tenors and sopranos. Basses, likewise for you. Bar 13, second beat. You have an accent there. So we really hear them, okay? Now, let's break this down just a tiny bit. So let's start from the very beginning. Oh, that's maybe a tiny bit. Okay? 1, 2, and 3. Good. Now, Leo's playing 6 notes. Ta, 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 ta. So when you have your go, you know exactly where it is because she's been playing 16s too. Ta, 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 ta. Okay. Right? 2, 3, and go. Yeah, good. Now, I love the fact that I didn't hear Gloria, right? Make sure that the R is not in American. Let's go on after that. First bar, and then going on. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then, basic. Again, let me hear the altos on bar 5. Ready? Just the altos on bar 5. Ready? 3 and 4. And yeah, I'll make it even more break. E, A, ta, ready? And up. Good. Yeah. Now, everybody, basses. Let me actually just hear you. Basses 1, 3. 1 and 2. Everybody, when you have your particular line, can you cut off the ta? Ta, 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 ta. So you take a big fat breath. Cut off the ta. So tenors on bar 4, the downbeat, you have a rest there. Altos on the downbeat of bar 6, you have a rest there. Sopranos on the third beat of bar 6, you have a space there. Let me hear the basses alone, right? 1 and 2. And breath. And. Yeah, C's, right? That's good. Now, it needs to have a little bit more of a lift when you have those ties. Ta, ta, ta. So that, you see what I'm saying? Bar 3, the fourth beat, that F should be a little bit short. Da, da, ba, goopy, when it's like a basis warm up, right? 1 and 2. And break. And yeah, and just sequence, right? That's much better. Tenors, let me just hear you. Now, do you hear what happened with the basses when they got to their line? You want to make sure, what's the G? E, A, ta, da, 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 da. It's too romantic like that. Make sure everything is light and the 8 notes are short, right? Tenors, 3 and 4. Ta, and 1. Yeah, so when you have the 16 notes, all of a sudden chord notes feel really long, right? The other thing that I would say is bar 6. Bar 6, the third beat, that G, is the end of one phrase, and the 16 notes, sees. You have to make sure that that's the start of a new phrase, okay? But that's really good. Bringing the basses and tenors together. Again, it's very dance-like and joyous. This is the Gloria, right? Kyrie eleison, you know, Lord have mercy, Christ have mercy. But Gloria is like Gloria God in the highest. This is supposed to be celebratory, like the trumpet voluntaries, and again, very, very with spirit, spiritual, right?
Sorry, is it in X shell?
Chelsea, yeah. Now, yeah, this is the Italian version of the German, right? Right, second bar, right? Basis 1 and 2. And so you should sustain that last chord note until the break. That's great. Altos and sopranos only. Actually, maybe just we'll break it apart like this. Let's do altos only, right? So 1, 3, and 4. And break. Yeah. Cease, right? And make sure to turn the page quickly if you got voice for it. Sopranos, let's try it, right? 1 and 2, and break. Yeah, good. So this next part, right, is about the clash between whatever two voice parts are singing. Sometimes it's sopranos and altos, sometimes it's tenors and altos, sometimes it's different voice parts. Let's hear this, bar 8 from the tenors and altos alone, okay? Right? I'll give you 3 and 4, okay? 3 and 4 and tenors. Altos. Yeah, so when you have the Ria, Chelsea's, make sure that it's clearly together, okay? Can you give them the G again? It's pretty high up there, right? 3 and 4 and tenors. And down. Good. Now sopranos and altos. This is terrible voice leading because it's super, super high and it's a sort of medium range for the altos. But bar 10, can we start on the second beat? Sopranos and then the altos on the third beat, okay? So the same thing, except one is octave displaced, right? So sopranos again, nobody's singing on the downbeat. I'll give you 3 and 4 and 1, but they can come in on the second beat. 3 and 4 and 1. And go. Yeah, that's great. Now, tenors. Remember that this line coming out where we just stopped with the sopranos and altos in bar 12, we take up. That is, again, like a trumpet voluntary. Let's try this section. Sopranos, do you mind leading us in? Take up to bar 8. Ide Chelsea's, right? Ide right? I'll have you 1 and 2 and friends. Ide tenors. Others and 3. Basses and others. But it's got really nice buoyancy and lightness when you sing it like that. It is not super like intense, and it doesn't need to be because it has a sort of we call it like jocoso. It has a very lightness to it, sort of almost not super accented or tacky. Okay, so what I want to do is just give you some notes about the other big fugue. And in my score, this is the Sanctus, and I have it on page 91. And then for the other score, what page is this? 77. 77? 87. 87. Okay. So this is a Hosanna in Excelsis. Now, this is a beautiful, fantastic fugue. However, it is a double fugue. So that means that there's soprano 1 singing separate lines of soprano 2.
Page 91.
Yes.
Yes. 91 or apparently 87. And alto 1, alto 2, tenor 1, tenor 2, bass 1, bass 2. What I want to do in the last few minutes is just get some notes just in case you do part of this in sectionals or not. And so I'm going to start at the very beginning. Now, the very thing that you need to know is that it's not soprano, alto, tenor, bass at the very beginning. It's tenor 1, bass 1, tenor 2, bass 2. So in the top line of the first system, for me are all the tenors. I'm going to have all the tenors sing. So this is bar 18, 19, and the first 3 beats of bar 20. And at the end of the scale, tenor 2s, at the third, when you get to the third beat, stop singing the tenor 1 line and jump down to the tenor 2 line. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Just make sure for a second. Let me just go back and take a couple steps back. Soprano 1s, raise your hand. Soprano 2s, raise your hand. People that don't know. So tenor 1s, tenor 2. Sorry, tenor 1s, raise your hand. And tenor 2. Okay, we're not quite even on that, but we'll figure it out. Bass 1. Bass 2. That's kind of good. Alto 1. Alto 2. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so it's tenor 1 to tenor 2 to make it slightly cheaper. So what I would suggest you do is get a highlighter to make sure you know what you're singing. However, maybe we should make this something that we put on resources so that you highlight the right part. So I'm going to tell you, and section leaders follow along, maybe Sam can give a score or whatnot, but I'll be next week. So at the very beginning, for instance. Yes. Yeah, we all know. Yeah, 91, 87.
do you have, Ming, which page do you have?
I have 91.
I think the other edition is 80.
80.
The one that immediately follows the song, correct? Yeah, it's 80 in the other.
Yeah, it's not the reconstructed one at the end. So, I don't know if this is productive actually.
And the numbers are the same.
Measure 18. Locomoto.
You know, Christian, maybe what I'll do is I'll give you the score for this. Because, for instance, basses, what I want you to do is bar 18, all the basses sing the bass 2 line. You're going to sing that all the way through to page 20, sorry, bar 27. And then all the basses are going to switch to the bass 1 line. And you sing that all the way to the pickup to bar 30. That's where you split to your normal parts. I think what I'll do is I'll take a picture of this, we'll send it to Christian, we'll put it into resources. But I find this very, very confusing where the lines go. And it's much, much easier if you take a yellow highlighter for your specific part. However, because of the way we're going to be not switching lines, but if the bass 1 line is not singing, then they'll just go to bass 2. Because of that, I want to make very sure that you don't highlight the wrong part. Okay? So I'll work together with Christian with this, and then we'll make sure you get the right parts. It is quite intricate and a lot of fun once we get it into our system, like all these things. But the very end of the piece, at the very end of the Benedictus, there wasn't an ending. So in the version that we're doing, is Helmut Eder basically copied this Hosanna and put it so we have an ending to this piece, which is sort of based off of this fugue that we learned. Okay?
Page 110.
Yeah, that's just at the very end. It's very end. Okay? So we'll leave it off there for them. Next week, again, is going to be with Marika, and it's going to be primarily Gloria from the Mozart. She knows all the repertoire that we're doing, so she might jump around, be ready to go with her, but she's fantastic, as you know, as always. So, and thank you for Rio, who's our guest, our governor for today. And don't forget that next week is in Arlington, different location. Okay? All right, see you later. Good night.